Thanks to everyone for attending the 2022 Southeast Bridge Preservation Partnership here today. And I'm going to go ahead and just kick it off right quick with Kevin Fischer. Kevin Fischer is the Assistant State Structures Engineer for North Carolina DOT Structures Management Unit and oversees field operations and the bridge program management. He has a Bachelor and Masters of Science in Civil Engineering from NC State University, right here in Raleigh, and is a registered PE. He's held several positions in Structures Management Unit in his 20 years in NCDOT. He lives in Raleigh with his wife and 3 kids.
Good afternoon. I'd like to, on behalf of the Secretary of Transportation, the North Carolina Board of Transportation, and all the employees of NCDOT, would like to welcome you to North Carolina. Got the license plate right there. We are certainly excited to host I believe the 12th gathering of the Southeast Bridge Preservation Partnership, and we look forward to 3 great days of teaching, learning from all of you, and certainly getting to know and strengthening our bonds together in this collective. We are especially excited to share some of our recent major projects with you. So what stands out about North Carolina? Is it our motto, first in flight? Is it one of our favorite sons in our favorite fictional town of Mayberry? And I had to throw this in there because this is Tim's, he's passionate about the show. Or maybe it's our Tobacco Road basketball rivalries, and being a state fan, I had to put my team up there. We won't talk about that other blue team as well. But certainly one nickname that we are all proud of here at NCDOT is being the Good Road State. So North Carolina is a fast-growing state with a 2022 population of 11.6 million, making it the 9th largest state in the country. Current projections show a population of over 12 million residents by 2030. You can see the map there showing population trends over the last decade have our urban and suburban areas growing rapidly, while many of our rural counties lost population over the decade. Responding to these population changes is a challenge for all of our transportation engineers. North Carolina is blessed with a varied geography, from the 3rd largest coastline on the East Coast to the highest peaks east of the Mississippi, and our populous urban centers in between. Ask almost any North Carolinian what they like best about our geography, and they will say, well, you're close to the beach and to the mountains. And that certainly presents a challenge to us as well as far as maintaining our infrastructure with that varied geography. And there is one major geographic divide in our state, and it comes down to barbecue. There's an Eastern and a Western style, and more than a few fights have broken out about which one is better. North Carolina has the largest state-maintained road network in America, with over 80,000 miles of roads. The map shown here shows the North Carolina truck network and how our goods and services flow into and out of the state. We have 2 deep water ports, you can see those highlighted, in Morehead City and Wilmington, which move over 4 million tons of cargo each year. Cargo travels to and from these ports via the road network and 2 Class 1 railroads, which service 2 inland ports. One's in Charlotte, one is in Rocky Mount. In addition to our Class 1 railroads, North Carolina has 28 other short line operators. The North Carolina Railroad also owns the corridor, which is shown in the double green lines below, that runs from Morehead City to Charlotte and leases that line to Norfolk Southern. Our rail division owns a handful of corridors. You may be able to see those in red there, just small sections of line to try to maintain those corridors, and is actually working with federal grants and FHWA to acquire, or FRA, to acquire the corridor that runs from Raleigh to Richmond to place high-speed rail on that corridor. So here's some bridge facts for you from North Carolina here. The total deck area of the state maintained bridges is 108.5 million square feet, with another 2.5 million maintained by municipalities. So you can see the really disproportionate share that North Carolina maintains. The secondary system accounts for 66% of those bridges by number, and you can see that breakdown on the left. But when you start looking at deck area, our secondary system only takes up 32%. I can't read that number there. There we go, 32%. So it's definitely, we've got a lot of small bridges on the secondary system. Our primary system takes up almost half of our deck area as well. And just for information on those secondary systems, we have 2,800 bridges that are less than 50 foot in length. So you're dealing with a number of small bridges as well to some very large structures that we'll talk about in a bit. So how do we maintain and keep those bridges up to condition? Well, this map kind of brings a little tear to my eye. I hate seeing poor condition bridges on any map here, but this is the distribution of poor condition bridges across our state. You can see that the western portion of North Carolina certainly has more than its fair share of bridges. That's all by number. The way that, just as background, the way that North Carolina separates our maintenance responsibilities, we split that up into 14 divisions. You can see there that they're numbered from 1 to 14, essentially going east to west and north to south. Just to kind of emphasize that split with the number versus the deck area here, this is our different divisions that are set up. You can see in our far coastal divisions, the 1, 2, and 3, they have the highest amount of deck area that's in poor condition, but the lowest number of bridges in there, and then it swaps when you go out to the western part of the state in our divisions 11 through 14. So North Carolina really put a push on in 2014 to reduce our number of deficient bridges. That was the term at the time there. Our goals really when we started was for the interstate to get down to 2% poor condition, 6% on the primary, and 15% on the secondary. So you can see our results there in 2022. We've actually exceeded our targets for both the secondary and the primary, and we're inching closer to our goals on the interstate system. We really started on the secondary system with what we called the low impact projects. Those were projects that we could really focus on getting out the door into construction and replacement fairly quickly, because you were dealing with minimal environmental impacts, minimal right-of-way and utility impacts. The one thing that we've seen with the primary and interstate systems is it certainly takes longer to get those projects done, and some of our numbers there don't reflect the condition of the interstates, because we typically spend more money to maintain those bridges to try to keep them out of a poor condition. So we have some bridges that we're working on replacing that don't show up in those goals. And just one more slide kind of showing you the breakdown of where the poor condition bridges are and then how those are broken out with secondary, primary, and interstate. And if I haven't beat it in your head yet, this again is another graph with showing how many of our numbers are out in the western part of the state. And it does show kind of the percentage there of the poor condition to the overall numbers. So we're still in good shape there. Just for your information about allocation of our bridge funds here, our bridge program for this year is roughly $425 million, and that's split with 274 million in state funds and roughly 150 million in federal funds. We had been programming 65 million or so every year in federal funds, and with the new bipartisan infrastructure law, we've been able to increase that to 150 million. And I believe Dan Muller is going to be talking to us about that tomorrow. I believe. So stay tuned for that. This is just a breakdown again of our state funds and our division needs. The way that we wind up separating these out is our secondary bridge replacements are typically funded through our divisions. They each have their own pots of money, and you can kind of see how those are distributed out. We take half and we equally distribute that, and then take the other half and distribute that on a need basis. The interstate and primary bridges compete statewide for those replacement dollars. The federal funding, again, is similar, where about 2/3 of those funds go to interstate and primary bridges. I did put the rehabs on there as well. That's a new part of the federal infrastructure law, that rehabs can be funded with those. And so we're actually undertaking a few larger rehab projects that we're going to be challenging to fund with state funds. And then 1/3 of that money is for off-system bridge replacements as well. And one other change with that, and hopefully I'm not stealing too much of Dan's thunder here, is that municipal bridges will actually can be funded at 100% with the federal funds. So we're working with our municipal partners. You can see that we don't have a lot of bridges overall for those, but we try to work with our partners to get those programmed in with our funding. Just a short bit on prioritizing replacements here. We work with our division staff to make sure that we're putting our dollars in the right place, and we're using them properly. We do use a PRI that kind of takes into account the condition of the bridge, traffic, as well as some other items as well to kind of help us prioritize what we need to be doing. For our bridge preservation funds, we actually have a annual allocation of $70 million that we use for state funds for bridge preservation. That's split 50-50 between, again, the central group of projects that our unit manages, and then our division partners that manage their bridge maintenance. You can see with the routine maintenance items that are listed there that our division partners are really looking at trying to do some preventative maintenance, some early repairs to keep their bridge infrastructure lasting much longer than it typically would. And we've got the calculations there to show how we come up with those distributions across the state. And then our 50% central allocations are really looking at servicing, extending the service life of our bridges that are over 20 million replacements. So this gives you an idea where those 20 million and over bridge replacements are. There's 200 or so across the state. You can see that on our coast, there are a high number of those on our coast. Around our urban areas as well, there's a few in the mountains. And we have we affectionately call this the Save the Whales program. So we're trying to make sure our big bridges stay in good condition, so we don't have to program them for replacement. So some of the bridges that you're actually going to hear about in this presentation, John Sloan's going to talk about the Lake Tillery Arch Bridge. Dominic Coletti is going to talk about the Bass Knight Bridge. And then we're going to hear about the 3 movable bridge rehabs tomorrow, and Harker's Island as well. So that's 4 of the bridges that we have worked on to preserve 4 of our whales. This just kind of gives you an idea of some of the scope and size of the bridges that we've rehabbed with these funds here. You've got the Bass Knight Bridge here on your left that you'll hear Dominic talk about. On the top right is the Memorial Lift Bridge, and that's, again, one that we're going to hear about tomorrow. And the bottom bridge is actually one that we replaced in 2012. It was a movable bridge, and we're able to replace it with a high-level fixed bridge on Oak Island in North Carolina. the replacement of the bridge that I just talked about actually allowed us to then rehab the original bridge that was there going onto Oak Island. So we took our high-value bridge money, as we call it, and did a replacement. You can see that we spent $15 million on this replacement to avoid a $93 million replacement project. So we actually went in and replaced the low water beams. We did an overlay. We added new rail too, and you'll see that on the next slide here. We had a 27-inch rail. We went to 54 inches. We improved safety considerably for the pedestrians that use that bridge. You can see the replacement girders as well and an overlay. So I certainly appreciate the opportunity to welcome you to North Carolina and kind of tell you a little bit about our bridge program. And I look forward to the next 3 days and having a great conference with you. One of the hosts of this event, Tim Sherrill. Hopefully most of y'all have worked with Tim in the past, and if you have, you know it's certainly a pleasure. Again, I would like to thank him and everyone else that has put this presentation on, and look forward to our next 3 days. Thank you very much.
The preceding was produced by the National Center for Pavement Preservation. More information can be found on the web at pavementpreservation.org. Additional support provided by Michigan State University.